Absolutely. Well, we have Jeff next. Jeff in Kitchener, Canada. You're live with Eric and Darrel. How are you doing?
Not too bad. How are you doing?
Good, kid. Thanks,
Doing all
Jeff.
right. Doing all right. What did you want to talk about today?
I'm an atheist. I stopped believing probably 10 years ago or something. I'm an ex-Jehovah's Witness. Listening to the call so far, I think I might be suffering from religious trauma or something like that. I don't think I'm dealing with depression. I'm not a sad person. I'm not down. It's nothing like that. I think when I was young, as a Jehovah's Witness, I'm autistic, or Asperger's. So I'm on what was called Asperger's, now called autism spectrum.
Right.
So growing up in that very, very cultish religion, I had retarded speech development, so I could not speak properly. So I was often called stupid or dumb. And when I did learn to speak, I was always very, very loud. And so I was seen as obnoxious. And then over time, I got labeled as this bad association. And I think that has stuck with me. And I think that was kind of where at this point, I'm now 39 years old and haven't believed in a very long time. And I've been trying to work through this shit in my own head, trying to basically diagnose myself. And at this point, I'm kind of at a loss.
Okay. Tell me a little bit more about your religious training and your parents. What was going on when you were 5, 6, 7 years old with respect to your parents and religion?
So my mom is very, very devoutly religious.
And Jehovah's Witness?
Dad,
still Jehovah's Witness?
Jehovah's Witness, yes.
Okay.
She still is, yes. My older brother and older sister are still Jehovah's Witnesses as well.
Okay.
My dad is an atheist, but he's the one that brought my mom into the religion. So during that whole fucked up Jehovah's Witness 1975 bullshit, my dad dragged the family in during that.
Right.
By the time I was about 6 or 7, my dad had left the church and I think he was in his angry anti-theist phase of deconversion.
Right.
And so my dad's revulsion against the religion, I think, drove the kids into it more.
Yes.
Because he seemed like he was the obnoxious asshole.
Yeah.
Right?
Unfortunately, that's too common behavior. Yeah. How's your relationship?
I don't blame my dad. Go ahead.
How's your relationship with your dad now?
Oh, it's good. I get along with my dad fine. My dad's probably one of my best friends.
Okay, so
awesome.
you been able to talk to your dad about this very thing?
A bit. My family's not really on that level. I haven't seen my brother in probably 5 years. See my sister maybe once or twice a year.
But the Jehovah's Witnesses tend to make people stop seeing relatives that aren't in the church, right?
Yeah. So I left. I never disassociated or was disfellowshipped. I was in a bad marriage that happened because having sex before marriage is bad. And then so I went through this really bad marriage that ended up in a really bad divorce, where during that we found out that I'm autistic and she was bipolar. It was a powder keg to begin with.
Oh, wow.
And it was just a powder keg. And so during that, we both kind of became more of that bad association. So that reinforced my mindset that I'm a bad person, going back to being a kid who could not quite read social cues and couldn't deal with, sarcasm would piss me off because I didn't understand it. I get in fights all the time because people being sarcastic and I throw a punch. So I was this bad association kid.
Yeah.
And so now I'm in this fucked up marriage going through a divorce, and now I'm even more bad association. And so I got to that. So now I'm 10 years later, and I'm still in that mindset that I'm bad association. And even though my family's not shunning me, and even though I was never, it's almost like self-shunning.
Right.
They should be shunning me. And since my parents are still together, my mom's a Jehovah's Witness, my dad, like, I don't even feel comfortable visiting my parents because I feel like I don't deserve their love.
Oh, wow.
And it's weird. Like, I'm not sad or depressed or down. That's the other thing. It's like, it's almost like this is their beliefs. This is what the cause should be. They should be doing this.
Right.
They're not. So why aren't they? I'll do it myself.
Jeff, let me throw out a couple thoughts, because number one, it's commendable. You've still got a good relationship with your dad. That's an anchor. That can be a really good thing for you. Second thing is, people on the spectrum, especially, sounds like from your experience, use logic very well because they're usually damn intelligent. I'm guessing you score pretty high on an IQ test. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're pretty damn intelligent. I'm sure of that. Now, that's a good asset. The liability of it is, it also, in most cases, I'm not saying this is true of you, but in most cases, they have more difficulty dealing with emotional internal conflicts, trying to figure out, because you don't read social cues as well, you also don't pick up your own internal cues as well. I don't know if that's necessarily true.
I've been trying to rationalize.
Yeah, you tend to rationalize.
I try to rationalize and I try to deconstruct. So I'm feeling this.
Right.
So what's causing this feeling? Okay, this seems like this happened because of this. And then I break it down into its subsections and I try to deconstruct the hell out of it.
You do. Okay, you've just described exactly what I was trying to say. Perfect. Now, the downside of that is we're not good. I used the metaphor a little bit earlier. We're really terrible at fixing our own cars. I can't fix my own car. I have to find somebody to help me. You are a little bit more terrible at fixing your own car than the average bear. You're much better at logic than the average bear. You know, there's no perfect human. There's no perfect brain. All of us have deficiencies in some way, shape, or other. And what I'm trying to say is, I'm in identifying your weakness, which is you probably rationalize a lot of your emotional experience. You're not going to be able to get a hold of that emotional experience and live your best life. So I don't know. Have you tried working with a good therapist with this stuff?
So I've always been skeptical of therapists because of horror stories of woo and bullshit and come to Jesus and you have to have this methodology, and I have no patience for any of that crap. And so that's been my hesitation.
Okay, well,
I know that
you and I are
therapy stuff.
You and I are absolutely on the same page with that. I have no patience for woo and stupid methodologies and Jesus. So none of that. That's why I started the Secular Therapy Project. So you can help find somebody, or you can find somebody that won't do that. But I don't care if you find anybody in our database. What I'm saying is, find somebody that can help you work, and give it 4 sessions, a minimum, and see how comfortable you are. Remembering that, you have to be a little patient in some ways. Not everybody thinks like you, and nobody thinks like me. I mean, we're all different. So you got to let that person have enough sample of your thinking and your behavior so they can start helping you, and 1 session doesn't do that. But do make sure and ask right up front. Tell them, I'm an atheist. I don't want any Jesus bullshit. Do you use evidence-based? Use that terminology. If they're offended by that, that's their problem, not yours. Tell them that you want somebody who uses evidence-based methodologies, and go Google what evidence-based are, and get on our website and look for people if you want. If you need something, if you need help in finding something, I've got guidelines I can give you, whether you go in our database or somebody else's. So just recognize your neurological system is your strength, and it's also your weakness. And you've described some really good strengths you've got. You've got a good relationship with your dad, and you kind of know you're not, you think you're not depressed. I'm not going to diagnose that. You might be. I don't know.
I think I might be. I'm not saying I know that I'm not depressed.
Okay.
I don't think I'm depressed. I might be. I don't know.
Can I actually throw in just a couple little pieces
here? I know
here?
we're getting short on time, probably.
No, that's okay. I felt very much like, okay, this is kind of your jam.
Yeah, okay.
So wanted to leave that there. But there are a couple things that I also kind of wanted to pepper in. Jeff, in my experience, it takes a long time. It can take a long time to find a good therapist. It took me over 7 months to find the therapist that I'm currently going to. It just takes hitting the bricks, going out and finding that person. So please don't be dissuaded when 2, 3, 4 therapists down the line, you're like, oh my gosh, I still haven't found. Keep looking, because it's worth it.
Yeah.
And even when you think things are well, the thing that we have to recognize as physical creatures in a physical world is the more we're practicing these different ways of thought, the more we're reinforcing those neural pathways. And as you get to practice them, as you get to practice rewiring that and thinking about it, the more you can catch yourself, the more you can start to develop, positive behaviors. And that comes with practice. And sometimes it may seem like, oh my God, why am I going to my therapist to talk about this stuff? Because it's a great place that you can work on practicing that cognitive behavioral therapy. And the other thing that I really wanted to throw in, you said at the top of the call, was you said you don't feel like you deserve your parents' love. And
No, I absolutely I don't, because it's
yeah.
I've got that imprinted on me that I'm such a fuck up that I don't deserve it. In fact, I've actually got a tattoo on my arm that says we accept the love we think we deserve. And I don't think if this is cognitive dissonance. I know that, because there's no reason why my parents would not love me, because I know they do, but I feel like they don't, or I feel like they shouldn't. And so it's not that I don't think they don't love me, it's I feel like they shouldn't love me. So I don't feel like I deserve their love.
So that kind of strikes me as a kind of imposter syndrome almost.
Oh yeah, right.
Oh, definitely. I'm aware of that. Yeah, definitely.
So one of the things that helps me a little bit in that regard is you don't get a say in other people's feelings in the same way that other people don't get to weigh in on yours. That you are responsible for, and you can own yourself and your feelings, but you can't own them for other people. Someone can love you no matter what you do. Someone can support you and care about you no matter how much you think you deserve it, because it's not yours to take.
I don't actually have a problem with that.
So
I completely understand that. So it's not I understand that they do love me, and I understand that it has nothing to do with me whether or not they love me. It's up to them, and it's up to their emotional system. I love them. The problem isn't that I don't think that they love me. The problem is I don't feel like they should love me. It's that whole deserving thing, and it's completely irrational. It makes no fucking sense. Again, my brain's a little bit fucked up.
No, it is. What I'm trying to say here isn't that that they do or they don't, but whether they should or they shouldn't. So someone can be loved who maybe. Could you imagine someone who doesn't deserve love? And if you could, and that person was still loved, it's not something that necessarily needs to meet all of these different tick boxes. It's not whether or not you deserve it. You're just being given it. You know what I mean?
So the problem with feeling like you don't deserve it is you've rejected, and so that's where I am. And so and this is where I'm saying my brain. I'm a little bit fucked up in the head, and I'm trying to figure out what's wrong with it, because it's at the point where I feel like I don't deserve their love, even though I know they do love me and they have reasons to love me. It's at the point where I'm almost actively rejecting their love, because I feel like I don't deserve their love, even though I know that's completely irrational, and I know that doesn't make sense. And so trying to break down why I'm doing that, and trying to deconstruct why I'm doing that.
Jeff,
thing.
let me interrupt you, because you've given me a lot of clues, and I would just suggest this: it's not the why that's the problem; it's the how and the what.
Okay.
You're doing things that are causing you disturbance. You're causing upset. You're causing you not to have the relationships you want, and you can rationalize your way around this a billion times, and you'll never get there. So I'm going to suggest find a therapist, especially a therapist, because what you've given me some clues. A therapist that will use rational behavior therapy or cognitive behavioral therapy might. you've actually described some things that if I was your therapist, I'd say, okay, I'm gonna work with you using cognitive behavioral therapy for about 3 or 4 sessions, and we'll see how that goes. Because you've given me some clues that said that would work. So try that. When you find somebody, ask them, do you do cognitive behavioral therapy? I suspect, or I have reason to believe, that might work for me. Now, it's not going to work for everything or everyone, so your therapist might use that for 5 or 6 sessions and teach you some new skills that you're demonstrating you don't have right now. I'm listening to you, and I say, yep, you don't have that skill. Once you've gotten that skill down pat, your therapist will probably move to something else to help you. But that would be where I would actually begin that place. But again, I can't.
Yeah, that sounds good. I like that.
Good. All right.
I know I'm not a professional. We're just doing the best we can. I know that you're not his professional.
No, I'm not. I'm not his therapist.
Yeah, so we're doing our best. But yeah, at a certain point, we start hitting a wall where it would be irresponsible for us to continue to try and help on that.
I completely understand that.
That said,
Yeah, no, yeah.
Holy crap! I'm glad that you're here.
Well,
because I sincerely appreciate it, brother. Jeff.
Okay,
Jeff,
no problem.
thanks for calling in, Jeff.
Thank you, man.
I appreciate what you had to say.
Thanks for talking to me.
Absolutely.
You're welcome.
Take care, my man.
Hey.
Yeah, I try, and I don't want to overstep into what should be done professionally. You know, we as a community, we have things that we can do. And there are a lot of people. I'm looking at the live chat, and I'm seeing this outpouring of love. You know, these are people who don't know you, but are embracing you all the same. Mm-hmm. And it's weird, and it's scary. And I get people who message me, you know, just for doing Talk Heathen, and they're supportive, and I'm like, why are you doing this? It's weird and funky, and it takes time. But definitely working with a professional and getting that help you need is important.
Yeah. Well, why people? I'll tell you why people are supportive of you, Eric, because you give them a hell of a lot. I mean, it's reciprocity. I mean, it's basic human need to give somebody what they give them. So you're a very giving person. I know you too well.
Love you too.
You maybe give too much sometimes, though.
Aw, you're gonna make me cry. Okay.
Yeah, well, I'm just telling you the truth.
Yeah.
From my perspective, of course.
Thank you, Darrel. I'm going to clip that, and on bad days, I'm going to rewind it and listen to you saying that.
Okay.
So, Darrel, you know, this is time and time again. It's funny, you came in, you wanted to talk about religious trauma. Mm-hmm. And we saw a good amount of that today.
Oh, hell yeah, we did. And our last caller, we didn't get there, but anybody that went through Jehovah's Witness, 9 times out of 10, they are dealing with religious trauma. I didn't want to say that. I mean, we had other things to talk about, but yeah, it's not just it's Seventh-day Adventists, the same thing. Some forms of Catholicism. These religions really do cause the trauma that is lifelong if you don't get it worked on and get out. So.
Well, I sincerely appreciate being able to talk about it and destigmatize it so that it feels more comfortable for people to be able to bring up and go, you know what? No, this is a thing. You know, we shouldn't invalidate people's recovery in the name of trying to be all-inclusive.
Right.
And it's important to say, you know what? No, this is damaging, and we should do something about it.
I don't want to say it to the listeners. If you are out there and you're seeing a therapist and you think you may have had some complications based upon your religious early childhood training, there's 2 things you can do. And the first is just tell your therapist straight up, I would like to explore religious trauma in my life. Your therapist may have never even heard the term. They will get out and do some research and find out. They're trained to do that. If they don't want to respond to that, you may have the wrong therapist. If they don't even want to explore it, they may have the wrong therapist. But most therapists will be right on it, ready to help you with that. Mm-hmm. If you need to just talk to somebody, come to us, Secular Therapy Project. Find a good therapist. If you need to just talk to somebody now, you can hit the chat line button and chat in with chat line agents. They'll talk to you and they'll refer to you and they'll give you resources. So
absolutely,
don't do this alone. Don't try to do it alone.
Agreed.